Let me ask you something. You know that feeling when you wake up tired? Even after sleeping for hours? Your body's there, but your mind? It's still running, still thinking about yesterday's mess and tomorrow's problems. About that thing your boss said. About bills you need to pay. About that conversation you had 3 weeks ago that you're still replaying. You tell yourself you need to relax. So you grab your phone. You scroll for an hour. Maybe watch some videos. Check social media. Look at other people's perfect lives while yours feels like chaos. But when you put it down, you don't feel better. You feel worse. More tired. More anxious. More behind. Here's what nobody talks about. Most of what we call rest isn't rest at all. It's just distraction. It's escape. It's numbing out until the timer goes off and you have to get back to real life. Real rest is different. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing the right kind of nothing. It's about letting your brain actually power down instead of just switching apps. Think about your phone battery. When it's at 5%, you don't just turn the screen off and call it charged. You plug it in. You let it actually fill back up. You wait. You give it what it needs. But us, we act like turning off the work means we're recharged. Like closing the laptop makes everything okay. We're not. We're still running background programs. Still processing stress. Still carrying the weight of everything we didn't finish. I heard this story once. There's this guy who works at a big company. Crazy deadlines. Demanding boss. The whole thing. Every day, lunch break comes around. Everyone else goes to the break room. They eat while checking emails. Scrolling social media. Talking about work. Complaining about work. Basically just doing more work in a different room. But this one guy, he goes outside, rain or shine, sits on a bench in this little park next to the building, just sits there, no phone, no food sometimes, no agenda, just sits and watches the world go by, watches birds, watches people, watches clouds. His coworkers think he's weird. They're like, dude, you're wasting your break. You could be networking. You could be catching up. You could be doing something useful. 6 months later, there's layoffs, budget cuts. Stress is through the roof. People are getting sick, having panic attacks in bathroom stalls, having breakdowns at their desks, calling in sick because they can't handle one more day. But this guy, he's fine. Not just fine. He's the calmest person in the building. While everyone else is falling apart, he's steady, clear, focused. He gets promoted, gets a raise, becomes the person everyone comes to when things get crazy. Why? Because while everyone else was burning out, he was filling back up. Every single day, 20 minutes at a time. That's the secret. Real rest fills you up. Fake rest just burns you out slower. It's like trying to fill a bucket with holes in it. You can pour all day, but you'll never get full. And here's the crazy part. We think we don't have time to rest, but tired people waste so much time. You know exactly what I mean. You spend 20 minutes looking for your keys because your brain is scattered. You read the same email 3 times because you can't focus. You start 5 different tasks and finish none of them. You make stupid mistakes that cost you hours to fix. You have the same conversation with your coworker 4 times because neither of you was really listening. When you're tired, everything takes longer. Everything's harder. You make dumb decisions. You say things you don't mean. You snap at people you love. You agree to things you should say no to. You miss opportunities because you're too exhausted to see them. But when you're actually rested, you're like a different person. You think faster. You remember things. You solve problems that used to stress you out. You see solutions where you used to see only problems. You stay calm when everyone else is freaking out. You make decisions quickly because your mind isn't clouded with exhaustion. You know what real rest looks like? It's simple stuff. But simple doesn't mean easy in our crazy world. It's eating breakfast without checking your phone. Actually tasting your food instead of inhaling it while reading emails. It's taking a shower without planning your day. Just feeling the water. Being present with your own body for 5 minutes. It's looking out the window for a few minutes without needing to do anything about what you see. Not planning, not fixing, not judging, just looking, just being. It's giving your brain a break from input, from decisions, from the constant noise that follows us everywhere, from the notifications, from the news, from other people's opinions about everything. Most of us live like we're afraid of quiet, like if we stop moving, we'll fall behind, like if we're not constantly consuming information, we'll miss something important. But the opposite is true. The people who rest well, they move faster when they need to. They see opportunities others miss because their minds aren't cluttered with junk. They stay calm when things get crazy because they have space inside themselves. They make better decisions because they're not running on fumes. There's this old saying, sometimes the most important thing you can do is nothing. People think that's lazy, but it's not. It's smart. It's strategic. Athletes know this. They don't train every single day at maximum intensity. They have rest days, recovery days, because muscles grow during rest, not during the workout. The damage happens during training. The growth happens during recovery. Your brain works the same way. It needs downtime to process everything, to organize memories, to make connections, to heal from the stress of the day, to figure out what's important and what's just noise. But we treat our minds like they're machines, like they should run 24/7 without breaking down, like they should process infinite information without getting overwhelmed, like they should make perfect decisions even when they're running on empty. Then we wonder why we feel anxious all the time, why we can't make simple decisions, why choosing what to have for lunch feels overwhelming, why everything feels like a crisis, why we lie awake at night with our minds racing. Here's what changes when you rest for real. You stop reacting to everything. You start choosing what deserves your energy. You stop treating every email like an emergency, every notification like a command, every request like a demand. You stop saying yes to things that drain you just because you're too tired to think of a good reason to say no. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter, who were never really listening anyway, who just want you to do what they want you to do. You remember what you actually care about, what makes you happy, what you're good at, what gives you energy instead of taking it away. You remember who you were before you got so tired you forgot. And that version of you, that rested version, it's powerful, not in a loud way, in a quiet way, in a way that makes people want to be around you, in a way that makes problems seem smaller, in a way that makes opportunities more obvious. Because when you're rested, you're not desperate. You're not rushing around trying to catch up to your own life. You're not trying to prove anything to anyone. You're not performing exhaustion like it's a badge of honor. You're just there, present, clear, strong, available to your own life instead of always running from it. And here's the thing that might surprise you. That rested version of you, it makes some people uncomfortable. Because when you're not running on empty, you stop playing games. You stop accepting less than you deserve. You stop making excuses for people who don't respect your time. You start saying no without a long explanation. You start leaving conversations that drain you. You stop trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed. And that scares people who were used to the tired, people-pleasing version of you. So here's your permission slip. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to wait until everything's perfect. You don't have to feel guilty about it. You don't have to justify it to anyone. Rest is not a reward for working hard. It's fuel for working smart. It's not something you do after you've finished everything. Because if you wait for everything to be finished, you'll never rest. There will always be one more thing, one more email, one more problem to solve. Take the nap without apologizing for it. Turn off the notifications and see what happens. Sit outside without a purpose. Let your mind wander where it wants to go. Give yourself space to breathe, to think, to just be human instead of a productivity machine. Because when you come back from real rest, you don't just feel different. You are different. You're sharper, calmer, more yourself. And that version of you, that version can handle anything. So stop running on empty. Fill your tank. Rest like you mean it. Because the world needs the rested version of you. The real you. The you that shows up ready. Not the tired, stressed, overwhelmed version. The clear, present, powerful version. That's who you really are. And rest is how you find your way back.